Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Banao Bharat's Trading for Living Wednesday live session. Markets are almost closing today. Just under 3 minutes is left now. A very quiet day in the markets. When you see towards the end of the day, you can see there was some kind of a trend that was visible, but if we had seen the chart in the morning, anywhere between 9:15 to even up to 1 o'clock, the charts were so silent. We had absolutely no trend or no signals emerging from today's charts. Well, this is the chart of the Nifty. Opens at around 18,706. You can say one more gap up and remains quiet and moves within the range of 30 to 35 points for the first 3 hours. So until around 12:30 to 1 o'clock, markets go nowhere. It doesn't either go up and come down or go down and come up. It just remains within a very narrow band of around 30 to 35 points. And at around 12 o'clock, you can see here there was one good green candle. That is where it touches last week's high of 18,742. So if you remember, on Monday we had one gap up wherein the high was 18,729, and last week we all know how last Monday the gap up happened and the high was 18,742. After that, it has made a retracement of about 1%. It has come down to the lows of 18,566 on by Friday, I guess. Then there was a gap up on Monday, and yesterday was slightly negative day. Today it gaps up again, but remains very quiet for large part of the day, and slowly and steadily, without giving any indication of a trend, it just moves higher. In fact, I would say trend has picked up only after cutting 18,742, but still, even when it cuts 18,742, there was no volume in that candle, and you can see here the real candle volume comes around this, that is at around 1 o'clock. So that is when the Nifty makes a high of 18,774. So overall, if you see, a very quiet day, I would say. There was not much of buy or sell signals. Bank Nifty even more quiet, opens at around 44,424. That remains the opening candle high as well as day high for the day, and from there on quietly comes down to 44,300. Not much of a trend, just about 100 points movement, and to move this 100 point it took a long time. By the time it reached the day's low, it was around 12 o'clock, which means for 3+ hours Bank Nifty spends within the range of around 100 to 125 points without developing any trend. When you see at the end of the day, you can see there is some amount of decent trend developing, but if you see the quantum of the trend, the trajectory is down, candles are red, looks like it could have been traded, but if you see the quantum of the trend from 44,424 to 44,300, it is just about 100 points on intraday, whereas any good trend on an intraday basis will travel at least more than 200 points on any given day. So after having made a low of 44,300, slowly climbs back along with Nifty, still does not cross morning's high of 44,424, and now currently trading at 44,390. So that is with respect to Bank Nifty also. One important thing that we need to notice today is the settlement chart. For that, we generally look into the 2 hours chart. You can see here for the settlement, 18,742, which happened to be the last week high, acts as a resistance. So there won't be any conviction when you see on an intraday basis that intraday it is crossing 18,742, but of course on an intraday basis there was not any levels also to enter. 18,742 was a level, yes, but that was of last week's high, and that last week's high for today's intraday, it was not a level. Today's intraday level had to be formed. It didn't show any intraday levels for us, but we knew, like, we are very close to the resistance of 18,742. So it becomes slightly skeptical how we trade on these days. Now at the end of the day, when you see, after having cut 18,742, it has convincingly looks like, it has closed above, it has not fallen. But this being a 2 hour candle, we get about 4 candles in a day and about 20 candles in a week. So even though it has crossed and it is at the resistance and it has not come back and closed below that level, we cannot conclude this to be a breakout. We cannot conclude as if, like, the trend has reversed. In my opinion, I would still be skeptical of this up move and wouldn't be going long aggressively. In fact, tomorrow being a bank policy, we would definitely wait for that. And the way the RBI has been announcing its meetings, I don't think there would be any great surprise in the tomorrow's meeting, and more or less looks like interest rate hike cycle is almost done for the year. We are almost 6 months past this calendar year and 3 months past this financial year also. So slightly unlikely any more rate cuts will come, which means, like, markets has nothing to really fear about, one, and at the same time nothing to cheer also. Not that they may reduce the interest rates for markets to cheer, or they may not even increase the rates for the markets to fear. In this kind of a neutral stance, the next logical move would be opposite to the direction that it has been already in. There is no incentive for the markets to go further higher. That is what I am trying to make here. There is no new incentives. Markets are already looking exhausted because the uprise is not of yesterday's or day before yesterday's or 1 week or 2 week. We are seeing the up move for last 10 weeks now. So this rally, whatever we are talking of or whatever we are sitting on, it has started in the mid of March, and we have spent about 2.5 months already in this uptrend, and definitely it looks quite exhausted at this stage. And in between this good up move, there was no meaningful correction anytime. So, and now that it is looking exhausted, maybe in the coming days we will see some good fall. So there should be some trigger, which is not happening, and everybody is waiting, not too much interested on the buy game, and at the same time they are not having enough courage to short at these levels because volatility is low and you may not get a bumper fall from here on. So everyone is waiting for revised sell levels to emerge. That being the case, when we are talking of, like, weekly settlement, tomorrow is the settlement. Today we have already come to the Wednesday. Friday the week settlement has started. From the lows of 18,566, it has traveled up to 18,800 today. Still looks like, on the positional basis we have no conviction to buy at these levels, and today there was one sell level for the positional traders at 18,742. so maybe if at all we have to do any trading, then it would be short trade. And, like, since the conviction is little less, and since RBI policy meeting is there tomorrow, probably anybody who has to trade should initiate quarter of their positions, and the trade side would be on the short side. So that is my opinion on Nifty. And the bank Nifty also, if you see on the weekly chart, Well, the resistance remains at 44,525, which happened to be last week's high. After that, it has made a low of 43,950 for this week, and from the lows of 43,950 it has traveled up to 44,424 today, closed at around 44,390 now. So not much happening in this weekly settlement. Markets are going through a very silent phase with very low volatility, low premiums. Option writers are not feeling interested to write any contracts at such low levels. Option buyers, because there is no volatility, they are also hesitant to go ahead and aggressively do some buying. Now that we have seen many days of low volatility, the next logical move for volatility is to increase and not to decrease further. So that being the case, if there is going to be increase in volatility, then definitely the first phase of increase in volatility will happen when market comes down suddenly. That is when the volatility will pick up, and after that maybe probably